Or we head to Rocky Top, where Oklahoma and Tennessee will face off in a playoff elimination game. It is Halloween weekend, which means probably dark mode uniforms for Tennessee. The question is, whose playoff chances will face lights out by the end of this game? This is going to be so much fun. This is the part of the season we've been waiting for, where two teams go in and one team leaves with hope and one team leaves with their dreams absolutely crushed. Ari, what do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, I think that Oklahoma's season went in the opposite direction on Saturday. You know, we spent all week talking about how Oklahoma, for the rest of the year, only has to do one thing, and that's to win the games in which they're favored in. This was a team that, or an opportunity to win a pretty good game, a game that people would value nationally, a game that would have kept their playoff hopes alive, and a game that would have kept their just general hopes alive for Brent Venables, the program direction. And they didn't play very well. And maybe we find out that their defense too isn't as, lights out as we would have thought. Obviously, Ole Miss has one of the best offenses in the country, but still, having Lane Kiffin troll your defensive lineman during an interview, I think is just kind of a funny way to. Now, it's just not the way that you wanted Saturday to go. Now,
are we in the trust tree?
Sure, we're always in the trust tree.
Are we sure Oklahoma's defense is good?
Not anymore.
Okay. I was going to say, because it maybe they just played some bad offenses at the beginning of the year, and they're about to play a really good offense.
I wouldn't say that it's not good. I would say that it might not be elite. I went into last weekend thinking
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
And, they scored quite a bit. I mean, they gave up a few touchdowns in the first half. I think they gave up 2 touchdowns in the first half the entire season. And now Oklahoma went from like hopes and dreams and pies in the sky. Like, think about the vibes. This is a big vibe show. Think about the vibes 3 weeks ago. Oklahoma is 5-0. They've got wins over, Auburn, Michigan teams that we thought would be tough wins to get. They got them. Then John Mateer gets hurt, and even though he gets hurt, all the vibes are high because he's in the Heisman race and had Dr. Stephen Shin. The memes were going crazy. The Sooner spirit was all over Twitter. Everybody was feeling good. And now think about the vibes. After they went to Texas, that was the worst game of the year. They get a bounce-back win at South Carolina. And then yesterday they lose another game that they could have won. Like, it's not – I feel like Oklahoma is not that separated from what they have on their roster and being 7-0. Like, they could have won the 2 games that they lost, especially the 2 teams I think were flawed in their own rights. And now they're going down the final 4 games of the season against all ranked teams. Coming off of a win like that, they're not going to probably be favored on the road at Tennessee, given what Tennessee just did offensively. And it's like now they're just hoping their season doesn't bottom out. And I think that all happened yesterday. So, what do I think is going to happen? I think that Tennessee is probably going to win the game. I think Tennessee's feeling good. I'm a big vibes guy. And I don't know. Do you think Oklahoma could pull itself off the mat?
I think Oklahoma's going to have to force some turnovers. I do think if Oklahoma forces turnovers, Oklahoma can win this game. It's not because like Tennessee now. Tennessee's offense looked incredible against Kentucky. And before you say, oh, it's just Kentucky, whatever. No, Kentucky's defense has actually been okay this year. The only team that really lit up Kentucky's defense was Georgia. They've been pretty tough against everybody else, including Ole Miss. But Tennessee, Joey Aguilar, here's a good example. Tennessee was 20 of 26 passing for 396 yards. That is a 15.2 yard per attempt average. That is an obscene number. Like, you just don't see that number ever in a conference game anywhere. So that was just a bravo performance by Joey Aguilar and by those receivers. And if they're hitting like that, I don't know what Oklahoma can do. But if Oklahoma is getting after Joey Aguilar, if they're forcing him to make the occasional mistake, then I think this is a fairly even matchup. Yeah.
3 receivers with 100 yards receiving. That's a pretty solid day. And I think anytime a team, it doesn't matter who their opponent is, anytime a team by themselves reaches the over-under number, but the over-under for the Kentucky-Tennessee game was 55, which, by the way, Vegas is right. It's not always right. They were pretty off on that one. Tennessee got there by itself. Like, their offense looks awesome. And if Oklahoma's defense is not elite, they're going to score a bunch of points. It's going to be home, obviously one of the toughest environments in the country, and Tennessee is trying to get one of those playoff spots. So this is a monumental game for both teams. Now, I don't know if I'm really in the position now to be even envisioning Oklahoma as a playoff team at this point. I think theirs is more about, direction of program. How do you feel about Brent Venables? All that sort of thing. I think Tennessee is in a position to make another statement. Their only 2 losses are against teams that we deem top 5 teams in the country. They still have a lot ahead of them, and this is an important spot for them.
Yeah. So, and if we look at the rest of the way, if Tennessee wins this game, you can envision Tennessee running the table. It's not going to be easy, but you can envision it. They would play New Mexico State, at Florida, where they have not won since 2003, but obviously Florida's already fired its coach. And then Vanderbilt comes to Knoxville, which what if it's Vandy, Tennessee in a matchup of 2-9-2 teams? That is entirely possible at this rate. So it's doable. It is, if Tennessee wins this game, it is conceivable they could run the table and maybe make the college football playoff again. Oklahoma, on the other hand, even if they win this game, you look at the rest of the schedule and you think, okay, it still may be hard for them to run the table because obviously it's Alabama, Missouri, and LSU, 3 teams that we think are pretty good. LSU obviously is in a pretty tough spot right now.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting about Oklahoma, Andy, is we spent all year talking about how terribly hard the back half of their schedule is, and they could have beaten Ole Miss. They beat South Carolina. Tennessee might end up being one of the 2 tougher games with Alabama, but like Mizzou lost Bo Prabula for what seems to be maybe the rest of the year based on what we saw on TV on Saturday.
Although Nick Zollers might be okay. We don't know. Nick Zollers is a 5-star recruit. He's just a freshman. So we don't know.
Yeah. But anytime you lose the player that's supposed to be the engine of your offense.
Matt Zollers, sorry.
Yeah. Oklahoma had it. They had a chance this year. And I really feel like, and I don't know if I'm overstating it, but yesterday was just a bad loss for them. They had a chance.
It was. They had a chance, but if you look at it, I mean, we criticized some of Lane Kiffin's coaching decisions in that game. Ole Miss should have beaten them by more.
No, I didn't mean that they had a chance in the game. They did have a chance in the game, but they had a chance this year to traverse this incredibly hard schedule and get to 10 wins. Like, that wasn't off the table, I think. They just didn't show up in their 2 biggest games, and maybe that's just who they are. I don't know. But, beating Michigan is not an easy thing as Michigan continues to win games. Beating Auburn now is probably a lot easier than it was at the time they beat them. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it just feels like Brent. I watched the post-game news conference yesterday, Andy, and I think Brent Venables said the word regret like 19 times. Yeah. And I feel like that's a pretty good word for what Oklahoma could have been this year.
Well, they need a better game out of John Mateer. They need some better choices out of John Mateer. He's got receivers open. He's not hitting them. He's throwing into traffic when he'll have somebody open for positive yardage. So you did buy the gunslinger. So you're getting the gunslinger, but he can make better choices with the ball too. It's like Joey Aguilar is a good example of this. In Joey Aguilar's past at Appalachian State, he had moments where he was a little too much of a gunslinger. I would say at Tennessee, he's been fairly calm and made pretty prudent choices with the ball. The throw right before halftime in Alabama, maybe the exception, but I don't know if they would have won that game anyway. So that is what it comes down to, is which of these QBs plays a better game. Can Oklahoma get after Aguilar? Can they force him to make some mistakes? That's what it all comes down to. And the winner of this game still alive. The loser is not going to the college football playoff in a year where they thought they might. And that's a pretty tough pill to swallow. That's the stakes of this game. It is going to be something in Knoxville.